man, MOTARDYODA, back in the saddle. Big 701. Doesn't get much better than this. A couple of weeks before Christmas, looking at 70 degrees on the thermometer. Getting to enjoy a little bit of holiday cheer. So I decided it's a great chance to take advantage of the great weather. Get a little ride time on a Friday afternoon. While I'm out and making the drive, I might as well do my top 5 reasons why I love my SM 701. Of course, I do have several Supermotos, and everyone always wants to know what's the difference, which one do you like better. Well, for pure power, it's hard to beat this one. I mean, I'm doing 90 just like that. I wasn't even really trying. I just touch that throttle and she's going. Now, my 510s, they're pretty fast, and they're certainly more nimble, and they are about 50 or 60 pounds lighter. I'm not the biggest dude, so I prefer light bikes. I know everyone says the 320 pounds that this one weighs is relatively light, and I agree. When we talk about horsepower to weight ratios, this is a pretty darn good deal. This particular bike is fully modded, and I'll get a little bit into those details, but for now let's go back to the top 5 reasons why I love this bike. You just saw one of them, that instant power. So here I am at 50, and all I gotta do is throttle up, and there I am, not even revved out, instant speed, and you're gone. I love that. It's nice to have. Another thing I love about this bike, it's contemporary. It's got modern technology. This model is the 2019. As stated before, she's fully modded out, so there's really nothing left for me to do except some bling, and I have done some already. We'll do the walk around in a little bit, but my other bikes, they're over 10 years old. Getting parts for them can be a challenge. It can be pricey. It can take time. Now, all of those things apply to this bike as well. Earlier in the year, I attempted to get a set of plastics for her, thinking I could just order online and have them in a few days, but that's not true. It took me several months. Now, granted, it is 2020. It is the year of the COVID, and I am certain that factored in, but it was not easy. So getting parts for this bike should be easier, and I think in general it is. The maintenance on it, more contemporary, so a lot of shops can handle it. I do go to the dealer, but I also go to some private guys. I also do work on my own. With all the different bikes I have, it's important to have access to a lot of brains, because I'm not going to kid you, I don't have all the answers. I don't have all the tools. There's a lot of things I don't have the time to do. I might understand what's going on, but it doesn't mean I want to do it. So having an array of mechanics behind you is a good play if you've got several bikes. If you ride as much as I ride. But going back to the bike being contemporary, it is nice. One of the real great things I love about this, probably, and this would be the number 3 point I'm making in this 5-point presentation, of course, is the maintenance. The maintenance on these things, it's a joke. And if you look in the book, it says oil changes every 5,000 miles. Come on. Really? 5,000 miles? You know I'm not going to wait 5,000 miles. I can barely wait 2,000 miles. So, valve checks, top end, low end, filter changes, all that stuff is spaced out, so much more palatable and easier to digest compared to the true hardcore Sumos from 2005 to 2010. Back in the day when those bikes first came to the street, they were basically race bikes. And even today, if you're converting something like a WR or CRF, you're still on the dirt bike regime. That's a lot of work. You don't have to do that with these. The 701, like I said, you can let her go for many thousands of miles if you want to. I don't. It's just because of habit more than anything. I'd rather change the oil and be and know that the bike is good to go, as opposed to something that's wearing down, leading to other issues. But being able to not feel pressured about an oil change, well, that's nice. I like that. The number 4 thing I love about this well, it's a bit of a wheelie machine, I'm not going to kid you. I'm not in a great location right now for doing a wheelie. I'm not sure if I'm going to edit one in or if I'm going to get a chance to do a wheelie later on in this video. But the traffic is dense.
A few moments later.
That's better. So here's my walk around for the SM 701. As you can see, she's kind of pretty. I've got several mods. I'm going to talk about some of the mechanical ones and obviously a lot of the bling that I've added as well. First, we'll start on the bling. I've added some sliders. I've got a blue sprocket, blue chain guard, massive blue pegs I love. I've got the P3 carbon fiber heat shield. I've got a Warp 9 end pipe guard. I've got the Zeta hand guards. Got some blue caps on here. Got the Scott stabilizer. That's a mechanical mod, although I don't mind the way it looks. I kind of like seeing it there. Little sense of security. Got the Mad Max Dual 0.5 on her. If you've not seen my video on that and you're thinking about getting one, it's a good watch. I do an unpacking install. These things look awesome and they work even better. Got rid of the knobby giant directionals. Went to a fork install. I've got the scrubdesigns.com Plastics, I know a lot of guys kind of hate on them because of the price of them, but for me, well, the short story is that I ordered plastics back in, I want to say April or May, and the plan was real simple. I was gonna do a matte black finish. It was a nightmare. They just didn't want to show up. In other words, everything with the COVID, it was a nightmare. So I didn't get them until like September. Scrub, they came out with a prototype that they were talking about releasing in 2020. They sent out pictures, I want to say the end of 2019, so we got a little sense of what it might look like. It was like a matte or a satin black, and it had blue decals on it, so I had that desire in my head to get them. Well, COVID knocked that out. Nothing came into production. I ordered my plastics, which I didn't get, like I said, until September-ish. And then all of a sudden, I see Scrub has this black set in yellow, and I thought, well, I'm just desperate. I had some extra dollars, and I went ahead and got a set, and I like how they look. So for me, it's pretty. I think the SM 701 is worth it, and I like how it looks. Around that time, my plastics, like I said, finally showed up, but then getting someone to do the decals was a whole other challenge. But finally, I have those, and they are getting installed as I talk. I'm halfway through. I'm doing the work myself, so I'll put those on at some point next year, probably in the spring. I'm gonna enjoy these for a while, and then we'll compare the two. Getting back to the bling, obviously I've got this upgraded seat, which I love. It's a grippy seat, and it's just so, what's the word, almost majestic. Company is Knife Throne, and they just do good work. The rear end, I've got the Roddy Talinator on there, so she's sporting LED directionals and taillight, brake light, all merged on one. As far as the mechanical mods, obviously I've already mentioned the Mad Max, but from a mechanical point, she's also an upgrade because, well, she's LED and super strong at that. I've got the Scott stabilizer, which I've already mentioned. That's real handy for anyone that's doing some big speeds. I run with some sports bikes and cruisers, and going 100, 110 is not unusual for a while. So it's nice to have that stability, particularly if it's windy. That's where I really find it's handy. It's always windy at 100 miles an hour, but when you get some of the fronts blowing through, it can get really windy on these bikes. It's just no fun. What else do I got? I got the Roddy package, so I've got the air filter. I've got the the airbox mod, so the old standard one is out of there. I've got the Roddy setup. I've got the PC5 mapped. It's got a little switch here so I can rotate between a couple of maps. The SC Project pipe, again, sound of pipes, I guess it's all relative to the individual. I know a lot of dudes love the Arrow and the Leo Vinch, and I've got those on my other Huskies. For this one, that SC Project, I mean, it just sounds like nothing else. I just don't know of another pipe that sounds like this. That's just bad. It's just badass. I know in some countries, I believe it's not even legal. So here in America, I'm going to use it as long as I can. But it's all good. So, on that list of top 5 things for my 701, obviously the looks and the mods that you can do on her, kind of like a combination, because some of the mods are for visual effect, some of them are for performance, but because she's a contemporary bike, and I mentioned that in the earlier list, part of the list, you're able to do these things. You can't do that so much with the bikes from the 2005 2010 era. I mean, we've got options, but it's a little trickier. You got to find guys who know how to use them. You got to find availability. So there's other issues with these new bikes. It's basically up to what your imagination can create. And along those lines, one of the things I think I mentioned before, but she's running a racing ECU in there. There is a company over in Austria that does this ECU flash, and they can do it online so that you can use your ECU. It's MCE Performance. A guy named Martin over there, he's kind of a genius as far as I'm concerned. He's just good at what he does. And I decided to get a second ECU, so I had another one made up. I've got 2. So I've got the stock one, but this new ECU is configured with the VIN number and everything else, so can't really tell that anything's been meddled with from a dealer point of view. And what he was able to do, because he had my ECU, was look at what the bike's history was, get some information, and then tweak the ECU to fit mine. So it was basically plug and play. Take your seat off, you got a strap holding the ECU in, disconnect a couple of cables, plug the new one in, restrap her, put your seat back on, you're good to go. And what does that ECU do? I think I talked about it before, but again, if I didn't, quick summary: it changes the rev limit, so you can increase that, make that decision yourself, 500, 1,000, 1,500K more or higher. It's all up to, I guess, your preference and how you're using the bike. And of course, Martin will advise you on that. But then the big thing was the quick shifter. Getting that option is very cool and handy. Apparently these motors have it. This is 2019, and I think even earlier models, maybe a couple of years earlier, have the sensors in them, but the bike itself is not taking advantage of them. So with all the clunkiness of some of the shifting, when I saw that that was available, I decided I had to have it, and it's really helped. It's changed everything. I don't get any false shifts anymore. It does not have auto blip, so downshifting I still got to use the clutch, but I'm fine with that. The up shifting and ability to not miss gears is just that was made the flash alone worth it. But obviously the rev limit increase was nice. One of the other great things was a change on that throttle, so now I get immediate response. I don't want to say it's one-to-one, but it sure feels that way. It's more like my other bikes, and that's immediate power, so you don't have that lag on the lower end at 2, 3, 4,000 range. When you look on the chart, these bikes weren't doing much when you hit the throttle. It just wasn't a lot down there, and a lot of that had to do with the response time, moving through those RPMs. But the flash addresses that, so you get instant power, and it no doubt changes the curve on horsepower and torque, but that's okay. I'm fine with that. Took a little while to adjust, but this is what this bike is capable of doing. So if you want to unleash that part, take a look at some of those flashes. I see there's more out there now, and if you reach out to some guys, I'm sure they all have pros and cons about their own. I'm very happy with the MCE work, and I would recommend it for sure. you got any questions, let me know. If not, it is time to ride. I got 70 plus degrees here in the ATL, and I am going out. Gonna enjoy the day, and I hope you can do the same wherever you're at. So happy motoring, stay safe, and we'll see you in 2021.